In the summer of 2008, I took OSU's graduate level equivalent of this practicum course under the direction of my late professor, Ravi Shiori, a real giant of a figure in the lives of so many people who went on to do ESL work professionally here in this state and abroad. I say giant, but the man was hardly 5 feet tall. At any rate, for my internship, I was assigned to not-for-credit ESL courses at TCC, adult learners, all language backgrounds, novice level. It was a summer course, which I suppose can often be more play than work, but Dr. Shiori didn't pull any punches. He packed a whole semester's worth of classroom instruction into that month, demanding that we read at least one textbook, write one 20-page observational analysis paper, numerous smaller journal entries, which were quite lengthy in their own right, conduct a long presentation on an important teaching methodology, and of course, observe lots and lots of class sessions, along with doing a bit of teaching too. It was quite a lot of work, particularly the observations, which lasted late into the night, just about every night for a month. I usually didn't get back home to my home in Pahuska until midnight or later. Considering that I'd come to class straight from my 8 to 4 job in Cost City, about 40 minutes on the other side of Pahuska, it was surely one of the busiest months of my life. At that point, I'd been teaching the Kanza language at the tribal community level and in local grade schools for about 7 years. I'd also already had a couple semesters of TESOL instruction, but I'd never actually witnessed English being taught to speakers of other languages firsthand. To say that it was an eye-opener would have been a grave understatement. One of the things I was struck most with was just how much emphasis there was on listening skills. I was partnered with 2 separate instructors at various points that month, but both of them were incredibly focused on teaching listening, and not just as a function of them standing up and lecturing for long stretches. For example, I noticed that for one of the instructors, every activity she conducted had an oral component, but only a portion of these involved the students speaking. Her instruction focused primarily on listening and only secondarily on speaking. Reading was stressed to a lesser extent, but was still a frequent activity component. She spent the least amount of time on developing writing skills and did not even take up most of the writing assignments completed by the students. Now, it's obvious that most of her classroom procedures were integrated with at least one other skill, but some of them were exclusively listening activities. One of her activities, for instance, involved a video of friends talking outside a theater after one of them had arrived late at around intermission time, perhaps. The friends exchanged pleasantries and then discussed what had already happened in the theater performance. I could tell when I watched the video that the instructor was modeling certain skills with the video, such as pleasantries, asking for information, and summarizing. So I had expected that she would then ask them to do the same sorts of things as a role play. Nope. Instead, she had them watch the video multiple times. One time through, it was just to give the students a feel for what was going on. Another time through, she paused the video and asked if they understood what was going on, explaining certain idioms that were used. Another time through, they listened, and so on. I think I may have seen the video 4 or 5 times that night, which you might have thought would have been the most boring thing ever. Again, nope. They were rapt at attention. They were so incredibly focused, trying to pick up every little bit of dialogue, trying their best to follow when she would speak to them. What was happening was that the students were so keyed into listening that they weren't wasting their energy and limited skill trying to speak or read or write or anything else for the duration of the activity. It was only an exercise in listening, and that took a lot of pressure off of them for having to do other things. That made them listen even more intently. I think they were discerning more every time she played the video. Heck, I found that I was hearing new things every time she played the video. I think it wasn't until the next night that they finally worked on role-playing a similar sort of theater scene, but they nailed it. After that summer, maybe after that lesson, I had such a newfound respect for what an effective language lesson sounded like. Target forms, repeated many different ways, over and over again. Integrated into other skill focuses, yes, but often just on their own.